All right, we're back in the shop to start our next project, which is going to be this. It's a 73 Land Cruiser that needs pretty much everything, but all in all, it's not in too terrible shape. We'll take a quick look at it before we get into tearing things down. So really, all in all, this thing's not in terrible shape. It's got some little rust spots here and there. Looks like it might need a tire or two. It's going to need seats. It's going to need really everything, but I've got a bunch of parts for it here, so we're going to get going on kind of starting to tear this thing down, see what we're working with. So the body's pretty solid. There's a couple the standard rust spots like that. This rear sill's been replaced at some point in its life. There's some other little minor rust going on, but other than that, it's in really good shape. So it's going to make a good solid base to at least make something to drive around in. Not looking to turn this thing into a wheeler just yet, but just make it so we can drive it around, just enjoy it a little bit, see what we come up with later. So here's some of the parts I'm going to be using. So I've got a pretty nice 2F 6-cylinder. We were kind of looking at it when we had it torn apart. It looks like it's been rebuilt, at least fairly recently. It's also got a power steering pump conversion on it. Other than that, pretty much stock. And I've got a set of FJ-40 front disc brakes, a rear disc brake conversion, and an FJ-40 power steering box. So I think with all that, should pretty well turn this thing into a pretty nice running driving rig. So step one is, I guess, we're going to get it up on the rack. We'll start getting all the fluids drained out of it, start tearing it apart. Kind of nice, since this thing hasn't spent the last 30 years getting drug over the rocks, I can actually get a socket on there easily. Let's see if it comes loose. Okay, there we go. All right, time to make the shop smell like an old wrecking yard. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Of course, this one's gonna fight me. Try going the right way, that'd help. There we go. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Honestly, this stuff's not as bad as I thought it might be. Looks like there's a little bit of chunks on the magnet, but not too bad. So it wasn't filming when I started to drain the transfer case because draining fluids is not all that exciting, but then I had this happen. So that's about a gallon of water that came out of the transfer case and not a single drop of oil. So that doesn't bode well for the future of this transfer case. I guess it's time to see what's in the transmission. That could be interesting too. Yeah, that's not supposed to be in there. Still haven't seen any oil come out. All right, well, I'm guessing I'm probably not going to be running either one of these, but we'll tear into them, see what they look like. Well, I decided it's time to take a little wheeling break between getting some work done on the other Land Cruiser project, so I'll do a little running around in the hills and relax a little bit before I get back to working on stuff. Well, didn't get a whole lot of wheeling video today, but we had a good time, so headed back out now and time to get back on to tearing that Land Cruiser apart. Alright, so now with all of the oil and some water apparently drained out of it, time to start tearing everything apart. I'm going to start with the axles. I think maybe I'll start at the rear because I think that'll probably be easier. Start tearing everything down, get all the brakes off, axles out, all of that, and then probably tear the front down. Alright, so now with the cover off, get in here, I'm going to pull this bolt out, then I can slide the cross pin and block out. I can get the C-clips off the axles, get the axles out, and that'll give me the access I need to pull the brake drums. So now with the C-clips and everything out of there, I should be able to come over here and pull that out. Okay, so I got the brake line loose. Didn't even have to use vice grips on it or nothing. So that's a good sign. So now I just need to pull these 6 nuts off and I can pull that whole drum assembly off of there. Alright, so with that, I've got the rear end stripped down about as much as I think I'm going to take it. I may throw some new seals in here, but we'll see how ambitious I get about that. But for now, that gets me down to the base I need to start with. And I can take these old drum brakes and put them someplace where they can't hurt anybody anymore. Alright, so with the rear end all stripped down, time to start on the front. So first step is going to be get all the steering disconnected and off of there, which some of this stuff looks like it might be original, so might be fun getting that off. Well, the tie rod ends are not wanting to come loose, so we've got to resort to the old tie rod end puller. So hopefully that'll pop them out of there. There we go. Okay, now that one wants to fight me. Ah, there we go. Win one way or another. So with tie rods out of there, now the plan is to pull off the whole knuckle and everything, just kind of as an assembly. I don't need to tear into any of this because I'm not going to use any of it, so the less turning wrenches I have to do, the better. So should be able to just pull off the steering arm, the knuckle gaskets in here, I will have to pull the hub off, which this thing is one of the original automatic hubs. They're actually kind of cool. It still works. That when you turn the hub or the wheel, drive shaft doesn't turn. But if I come in here and I turn the drive shaft, it is actually locked, and it locks back and forth. So yeah, some early stuff, but I don't need it. So get this torn off, I can get to the circlip underneath there, and then I can pull the entire knuckle and everything off. There we go. Now this should come off. Yeah. Okay. Anybody want some early locking hubs? Probably not. Well, there's some other stuff going on in here too that I do not recognize. I think goes along with those hubs. But I don't need to mess with any of that. I just need to get the knuckle and everything off now. Alright, so I went ahead and pulled all the knuckle seals loose. So those are actually in surprisingly good shape. I think I may just go ahead and reuse those. That way I don't have to pull them off over the knuckle or any of that. And this thing's not going to be perfect anyway, so it'll be fine. So now I just need to pull this steering arm off. Once I get this off, the whole knuckle and everything should be able to lift up, twist out. It'll all come off in one piece. Now, the fun part is always getting the cones out of these steering arms, so start tapping on things and see how that goes. I'll put that down there. And that one ran and hid from me. Just have to get that out of the bearing, and then it should come off. There we go. There we go. Alright, so everything in here is in surprisingly good shape. See, all the grease is still there. It hasn't been all washed out by gear oil. So that axle seal's in pretty good shape, which means the right thing to do here is to reuse that. Let's see, the trunnion bearing didn't even come out in pieces. It's actually in really good shape. There's a little notchiness down in there. Not too bad. We'll see what I decide to do with that. But yeah, for as old as this thing is, I'm pretty surprised at how good a condition all of this is. It looks ugly with all the grease, but trust me, it's in good shape. Alright, so I got the driver's side pulled apart. It's in pretty similar condition to what the passenger side was, so I think we're in pretty good shape here. And I have all of the help. Yes, you're a good dog. Okay. So yeah, my next steps here is get the rest of the steering out of here. I got to pull the grill, fenders, probably the hood. Get working on trying to get the engine transmission transfer case out. So yeah, you know, just a few minor things left to do yet. Still attached. Okay, that's loose now. Okay, with all the front sheet metal off, we can kind of start to see more of the picture of this thing. It's had a bit of a life. You can see it's been repainted. It's a quality job. You can tell by the overspray on the fan motor and up here on the frame. See, the wiring that's been done has just been absolutely top notch. It does have that HEI distributor on there, which I may actually try to run that. We'll see how that goes. Not sure the quality of that particular unit, but we'll see. Also, at one point, you see I put a starter in it. I was trying to get this thing to see if it would run, but it seems like it's got maybe a little bit of compression on one or two cylinders. Other than that, it just spins. You can't even hear it hiss as you're turning it over by hand. So yeah, I think that one's done, which follows with the story on it that it was overheated on the highway one day and basically left for dead, and basically bought right there off the side of the highway. So that was the last time it ever ran. So hopefully we'll be fixing that soon. But for now, I'm going to get in there, start getting the engine, transmission, and everything loose. And I can get that pulled out, and that should give us a good baseline to start with. So here we have another sign of some quality work. Looks like at some point this motor mount broke. So it's kind of hard to see, but you see a couple of nuts stacked up right there, and the bolt coming in from the bottom. So they just bolted it through, lock nut for safety. Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it. All right, so the deeper I get into this, the more fun stuff I find. Latest example is this motor mount that has the nut welded on. Who does that? There's literally, it's a castle nut with holes through the bolt for a cotter pin. Nope, weld it, that's easier. Same way on the other side too, so I guess I get to deal with that now. Alright, well, I've got to the point now where, as far as I know, everything is loose. There's nothing connected to the engine, so should be able to hook the cherry picker up to it and pull it out of there. Most likely I'm going to find the tensile strength of whatever wire or hose I forgot to unhook. So let's get the cherry picker hooked up and figure out what that is. Okay, well, I think that's pretty good progress for a couple of days of working time. So we're down to pretty much clean slate in here. I still got to get the old steering box and that whole bell crank link there, get that removed, but that's easy enough. I'm gonna find something to do with this giant boat anchor, which, yeah, just stuff that in the corner somewhere for now, I guess. But for now, I think I'm got a good starting place in, so about time to start working on putting stuff back together. But that'll be next time.